Ciao a tutti. Hello together. Bonjour à tous. Hola a todos. Hallo zusammen. Bună ziua tuturor. Manu mesc Flo. So these were just a few languages out of 12 different ones spoken within my team. And I know that there are much more languages around in this organization. So what does hello everybody mean in your language? You can use the chat box that is anywhere here and engage with your fellow mates in the chat box and let some nice words there in your mother tongue. So my name is Flo and I'm as passionate about my job as Scrum Master and Project Manager as I am in private about traveling and couch surfing. And there is a connection between couch surfing and the topic that I will present today. And this connection is privacy. So when a host accepts me as a couch surfer in his house, he is giving me consent so that I can enter into his privacy. And I can tell you that's a great experience. So now, imagine you're entering your favorite supermarket next door, and suddenly the employees are welcoming you and calling you by your name. How would that make you feel? Now imagine that you walk down the different aisles, you check out the articles that are there, and you realize that there is mostly stuff that you already bought. There's some related or similar articles, and even this disgusting microwave lasagne that you bought the last time because you were so hungry when you came home from work and there was no chance that you stopped cooking. This microwave lasagne is placed prominently in the store's fridge. How would that make you feel? So you can use the chat box again to write down your feelings if you think about this scenario. And with this picture in mind, we want to explore how we can provide personalization to our audience without stepping too far into their privacy. That means we will have a quick look into the most prominent data law, the Gdpr, and we check out what data we can actually gather and process without being in need of asking for consent. The GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation, is Europe's new data law and went into effect in May 2018 and is so far the most robust and toughest data law worldwide. Of course, every country has its own data law and they are pretty much similar. There are related articles, but for every organization, every company that is dealing with European personal data, the GDPR applies. So what means personal data? Personal data means any information relating to an identified or identifiable natural person. And there are 6 legal grounds on which we are allowed to process this personal data. Number 1, I already said it, consent. And you know consent. So you know these annoying consent banners whenever you enter a new website the first time and you get the banner that is asking you to accept all cookies or decline or manage. And the consent has to be freely given to process the personal data. It must be clear what the processing activities are, and it must be easy to withdraw for the data subject. The thing is with consent, the power is on the user side, so that we see rejection rates up to 75% on mobile and up to 41% on desktop. And that's a huge number, right? Number 2, performance of a contract. And that's pretty obvious, right? So if you want to be a member to save up to 10% and get the latest offers, then you have to give your name, your full name, your address and your date of birth. And you're allowing that your data is being processed to enter into that contract. Number 3, legitimate interest. So this is the most flexible legal ground that we have in the GDPR. And yes, there are direct marketing purposes that can rely on legitimate interest. Also, security-related purposes can rely on legitimate interest. But to be sure that legitimate interest is the legal ground that you can rely on, you have to go through a test and answer certain questions. And this means you have to do a balance test, you have to do a purpose test and a necessity test. If you find out that there are other legal grounds that could apply, then legal interest, legitimate interest is not the legal ground that you can rely on. Number 4, vital interest. That doesn't really apply to any thing that we do here in Netcentric. So, but if you are required to save someone's life and you have for that case to process personal data, then you can rely on vital interest. Number 5, legal obligation. So it can happen that it is a legal necessity that personal data is being processed. Like Netcentric is legally obliged that your employment and your salary is processed by the tax sent and processed to the tax office or to the insurance company. And last but not least, number 6, public interest. So that's a processing activity that is done by a government entity or on the behalf of the government entity, like for a census, right? Okay, so now we've seen the legal basis, and I already said that the GDPR went into effect in 2018, and it builds the lawful basis for personal data processing. But there's another force that wants to support the law by restricting how, what, and where personal data is collected and processed. And that force is technology. And it was in 2016 with a big scandal that data privacy was becoming of really public interest. And it was in the news, it was everywhere. It was the Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal. And Cambridge Analytica was obtaining personal data of Facebook users without having their consent, and they used it predominantly for political advertising, and that not even in a good way. And we don't know what they even done more with this data. So it came that in 2017, and technology was faster as the law, Apple released ITP 1.0. ITP, Intelligent Tracking Protection. And it was an out-of-the-box functionality from Safari from 2017 that third-party cookies are being blocked by default. In 2018, Firefox came also to help and released ETP, Enhanced Tracking Protection, and with it basically the same functionality as ITP. But you know, the people that are in need of your personal data, they get creative if they're being stopped to do that and stop being processing and gathering your data. So that ITP and Apple had to fix several loopholes, had to stop the workarounds that companies and organizations found to further track you throughout the web. We will have a quick look on what ITP does in one sec. Finally, in end of 2019, it was Google that announced that within 2 years, they will block third-party cookies by default. And this will have a big impact because Google Chrome is the browser that 2/3 of all all people in the World Wide Web are using cross-device. Apple and Safari is being used about 20% cross-device. So let's have a look. What is that ITP does that makes it so hard to track people throughout the web? I already said initially that third-party cookies are being blocked by default, and they are not getting activated, nor get they any storage access. Another interesting thing that organizations started was link decoration. Link decoration is this part of the URL that you see on the screen that is marked red. So imagine you are an advertiser and you are running an ad campaign on several publisher sites, and to know what publisher caused the views and the clicks on your page, you can use link decoration so that the destination page can read out what publisher was it that caused the view on your page. And this is an approach that also Facebook used to send click IDs. But what does ITP? It cuts off the link decoration so that the destination page is not able to read out this additional information that is sent via the URL. Also, companies and organizations started to set first-party cookies on behalf of third-party services. But the machine learning classifier of the ITP is intelligent enough to find out that this first-party cookie is set for third-party reasons, and local storage is denied. The cookie is partitioned, and the data that is being gathered will be deleted within 7 days. Okay, so then what are alternative strategies that we can use without fighting against big technology companies or against the law? I mean, there are several options. What about browser fingerprinting? So we are using a set of browser attributes to identify a user, or header enrichments by requesting additional data via the HTTP header to gain more information about the user and its interests. I can say these are both techniques we cannot rely on because they are called unsanctioned tracking methods. They're called by the World Wide Web Consortium the body for standardization of technologies in the World Wide Web, because the user has no power about what data is being gathered and processed, nor is there any chance that you can reject these methods. That's why we cannot use it, especially not for marketing or advertising. Of course, we also have walled gardens, so an approach that also Google and Facebook is using. So they create a login strategy and can then track the user's behaviors, the user's interest, and share this information only with others if they use their services. But is that really it? Let me ask you a question. What if we were wrong the whole time? What if personalization was never wanted by the user to be an individualization on person level? So how much personalization is actually too much personalization for the user? And that comes then with the question, how can I personalize without needing consent? Of course, there are some non-identifying basic measurements that we can use. For example, the timestamps of the visits of our website. We can read the user agent. We can calculate the average time spent on a page. Oops, sorry for that. we can calculate the average visit duration of the user's visit on our website. And of course, we can check out the clicks that are caused by the user. But what is really a long-lasting strategy for privacy, compliance to law, and quality-based content delivery / advertising? I think the answer is applied intelligence. Because applied intelligence is the smarter, faster, and more efficient approach for collecting, processing, and analyzing data. And we can create insights which help to identify clear opportunities to act on. And we can automate these actions wherever possible to unlock business value. And there are several machine learning techniques and approaches that we can use. And I named here only some of them that are possible. We have sentiment analysis, word association, named entity recognition, category and keyword recommendation. We have taxonomy, even standardized by now by the IAB. We have topic tagging, language scoring, emotion analysis. All these techniques that we can leverage to not fight so hard to gain information about the user, when it is actually much easier to evaluate the content the user consumes in the World Wide Web. And this is what we have free access to. And there is no restriction at all. So why not building a tool that could aggregate and analyze and process all the keywords, phrases, tonalities, whether the sentiment is positive or negative? It can create a confidence score that is weighted and that's indicating how valuable the keyword or the category or the sentiment is. And how could such a tool look like? So on the left, you see the usual scenario when entering a page, right? So you have the user that accepts all cookies, marketing, performance, functional cookie. And based on the information that we have, we deliver a personalized experience to the user. But what is if the user declines the cookies or uses Safari or Firefox, and there is no legitimate interest on our behalf to gather and process any other data? And I say the answer is AI. And in my example, I used two AIs. We have the web AI and we have the editor AI. The web AI does a contextual analysis of a preset set of World Wide Web content that it scans, analyzes, processes, tags, categorizes, ranks based on based on the interest of our target group and of the popularity that it has right now in the World Wide Web. The AI can not only check articles, but also comments, tweets, forums to see how the people react to certain content and to certain categories. And on the other hand, we have the editor AI. So the editor AI is supporting the editor already in the content creation process and is helping the editor to create well-performing content by showing real-time what the sentiment of the created content is right now. What is the possible web performance that we can expect? Furthermore, we can also tag these topics and categorize it and check the content performance in the web. In the next step, we have an automatic matching and ranking process where the results of the web AI are checked and matched and ranked with the editor AIs and our own content. And based on the most popular categories, tags, and topics that we have in the World Wide Web, we can then see what is content that is our own and is of possibly most interest for our users. This is the content that we will render on the page. And in the next step, we can also use content similarity search to personalize even more the experience based on the clicks that we see on the page. And I want to say, this is not the future. This is the now. And if you want to know more about the editor AI, then you can check out the follow-up talk from the Smart Editor Toolbox team. That is Martin, Fabian, Angela, Lorenzo, Paula, Pilar, Ines, and Stephanie, to see that we are already in the future, 2021. And yeah, this is my team. This is my team that encourages me to give my best every day. This is the team that I love, and this is the reason why I come to work every day with a smile on my face. And yeah, we are building the future. So I want to thank you, and with your supermarket experience in mind, I want you now to think back to your project, to the website that you built for your client with your team, and about the data that you are collecting, storing, and processing while the users are on this page. Are you keeping this privacy as it is required by law? This is not a question that I can answer you right now, and that's why I need you. So I want you to find out if you are keeping our customers' users' privacy as our laws require, as well as you would like yours to be kept. Who is the person that you need to go to? Schedule a meeting and start the conversation. You can also check out this new Slack channel, Gdpr-compliance, to connect across projects, and we can exchange our experiences, wins, and difficulties dealing with data privacy. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great day.